interpretation. You caught us hands down, you know. The leadership of Islam in the country should recognize the fact that we need to apologize to the disabled among us. Because when you look the whole of Accra, in our communities, in the Zongos, you can't pinpoint to a mosque where when there's a sermon going on or any other activities going on, those that don't understand can carry on.
It has really never occurred to me that we should have signed interpreter of languages, notwithstanding the fact that Islam in itself is a holistic religion, encompasses everybody.
I visited the Cantonment Police Mosque and the Asuma Banda Mosque at Airport Residential Area with a deaf friend of mine. He had no part of the sermon.
It is our duty to arm them. It is our duty to accommodate them, because Islam grew in this country as a result of that human relationship that we have had. And part of human relationship is extending your hand to the disabled.
Any kind of person Islam welcomes, including the physically challenged.
The mosque is the meeting point of the spirit and hearts of Muslims. If we call it also the cave of the Muslim, that is where he finds refuge away from the hustles and bustles and temptations of life. So we should not make an arrangement that denies any single person in the mosque.
In the Quran, Hud 11:20 quotes that they will not be able to escape in the earth, nor do they have any protecting friends apart from Allah. They will have punishment upon punishment. They were unable to hear, nor used to see. So how can the naturally deaf-blind escape this punishment when those who can hear have neglected them?
Certain scriptures, certain sayings of the Quran pinpointing to the fact that the need for us to give them the necessary support.
There are Quranic verses that acknowledge the existence of said people. They've been given exemptions in certain things.
Quran says that verily and indeed we have created the son of Adam, or if you like, the human being. And so therefore, whether the person has a certain deformity, a certain disability, does not reduce him to a non-entity in society. The mosque committee, the mosque institutions, the administration should do everything possible to provide persons who will come also to explain to the disabled who cannot listen, who cannot hear, who only know sign language.
My visit to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission revealed the same situation, and the acting Amir Maulvi Mohammed bin Sali admitted to me saying, quote, "I must be frank with you, this has never occurred to me. We do not have a sign language interpreter, and none of our mosques have that. It is worrying, but unfortunately that is the situation. Ever since I was born, this has never occurred to me. It has escaped us totally. You can quote me anywhere. I don't mind because it is the truth." Unquote.
It appears that our attention has not come to that, though we see them coming into the mosque to pray. But as to whether there is a need for us to address their issue has not come up.
The situation was not different at the Odoko Hindu temple, where I joined the first African monk to worship at the Hindu monastery of Ghana. Here, almost all the rituals and recitations are done without a sign language interpreter.
Tasmi Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti.
None of us can go to heaven without doing certain things. We must also help them. If you fail to do this, I don't think that God will allow you to go there.
From 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., every aspect of the service required hearing to partake fully in worship.
Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti.
In the Hindu devotional book, The Spiritual Ascent of Man by Swami Krishnanand Saraswati, page 34 and 35, categorically admits that quote, "The deaf are most unfortunate. Deafness is the highest hurdle barring their way to progress," unquote. It adds that in devotion, quote, "the first lessons in language and other knowledge are received through listening. Hence, listening is the first step of devotional worship and divine love, which is bhakti." Swami Gananand Saraswati is the first ever monk of Hindu on the continent of Africa, and concedes to me that those who are able in Hinduism in Ghana has not enabled those who have deaf disability.
We are selfish, and now we have discovered our selfish. So we want them now to come and then teach them, start them with this. Because since the sound brings something very secret to any person, it will be necessary for us to do testing to help them. So we apologize. Yeah. We apologize to them. They must forgive us.
He promised the Hindu monastery will seriously consider the matter.
From now onwards, you will put this into a table to discuss with it, and then see what we can do to help them.
Before I left the temple, the monks, the disciples, the congregation and I explored different ideas on how to reach out to the deaf, and they promised to pay a visit to the deaf school to start with, though Hinduism does not permit evangelism.
This matter hasn't come to our notice today. We'll do whatever is necessary to see how to establish this system within the monks.
Several religious leaders admitted that they have been awakened by this documentary.
It's going to cause an awakening, in Christendom, and all of us, I think from today, will begin to make provision actually for them in our services.
Why I have not done it all these years is what I call is a shame.
It's not too late to have recognized that this has happened. So on behalf of our mosque and the entire Muslim Ummah, I would say we apologize to them.
Let's begin searching for areas that we have omitted some aspects of our ministries and pray to God to forgive us.
We need to apologize to them because they are a big chunk and they are part of our society. We live with them and we should find a way to reach them. I think that the awareness you are helping to create, it's one of the major ways that will change the tide.
This thing you are bringing out, we should start a whole crusade.
What you are doing in talking to me, and maybe somebody else who will get the opportunity to listen to what we are doing, may look like you are just scratching something. But there is a time you scratch something and you create a major impact.
We as Muslims also will have to stand up and say, look, these people, this segment of our community also have a right.
We should be able to find solutions, how to get them integrated, bring them into our services, and it wouldn't be bad at all when we are preaching on television, for example, that the interpretation is also done in the sign language.
We're very happy as a ministry that media is taking this up. That means we're doing something good. We're adhering to the constitutional provisions of inclusion under our directive principles of state policy and also under Article 17 on non-discrimination.
Parliament deserves to say sorry that we passed the law on disability and social exclusion, and for some time now we have not been able to even initiate action by employing or engaging interpreters for the deaf in the house, for them to also follow what is going on in the house, and national parliament for that matter. So I think it's something that we should have set the pace.
We would have to pioneer this and show the way.
We haven't been proactive, and the sign language teachers have also not been proactive.
So what then must have contributed to this neglect?
I'm inclined to think that it's historical and it's cultural.
Let's look at the cultural. They're the butt of jokes. So there's this whole issue of stigmatization.
I think it's a developmental issue. We are almost neglecting a lot of people that need help in society, and unfortunately the deaf is caught up in that whole national neglect.
It's an omission. We need to pay attention to them because they are part of creation. Christ came to die for them, and we must be intentional. We must make a conscious effort to reach them.
You are the load carrier. You are our burden bearer. From the shoulder of your servants, affliction is gone.
Let blind eyes be opened. Let cripples walk. Let the dumb hear. Let the lame walk. Let the bound be loose. Let all kinds of sickness, disease, and infirmities be healed in the name of he who died, laid in the grave, and arose triumphant on the third day, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God.
We spiritual men and men of God, we only paid attention during miracle services when we make the attempt to pray for them to be healed. Beyond that, we do not do anything anymore.
While all these years, consciously, seriously, we have not responded to that need, to me, is the issue and is the challenge.
The Muslim community, in terms of its structure, probably in terms of its planning, in terms of execution of its mission, has not been well structured. I must concede, has not been well structured. And so therefore, you are unable to even say that, look, there is a certain mission, Islamic mission work that targets the disabled.
The mosques and the churches are taking things to be normal without necessarily recognizing that chunk of their followers are those who cannot listen or sometimes cannot see what is going on.
Lack of statistics on the deaf population in Ghana was in some cases cited by religious leaders to have contributed to the neglect.
If we can get some statistics to get to know in reality how many people need this sort of thing, sign language. For instance, I'm very pleased to see it on the television because it is nationwide. But if you are going to say that every church in Accra, of my 70 churches in Accra, Tema area, would have to have somebody there, for all you know, they may not be addressing anybody at all within the congregation that has this problem or an impairment.
We don't know the percentage of the world that has got problem of disability. Many people don't know that about 360 million people worldwide have disabling hearing loss. Out of that 360 million, which forms about 5% of the world, out of that number, 328 million adults and 32 million children.
The 2012 census released by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed that persons with disability form 3% of the 25.37 million Ghanaians. Those with hearing and speech disability together form 0.8%. This figure is equal to the percentage of people who belong to other religions such as Hindu, Buddha, etc. The census reveals that 110,625 people have hearing challenge and 101,096 people have speech challenge. This number is bigger than most metropolises in Ghana. In fact, with the exception of Accra, Kumasi and Tamale, those with hearing and speech challenge put together is greater than the number of people living in any settlement in Ghana, including Sekondi Takrady, Cape Coast, Sunyang, Koforidua, Ho, etc. So can the lack of statistics be an excuse?
We underestimate the number of people who have got those challenges in the community.
For Reverend Istudanaba, even the global statistics should push the church to act immediately.
1/3 of the people in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia who are above 65 years have got disabling hearing loss. About 1/3 of 65. So when you are growing older, by 65 you have a problem.
Some of us old people will experience some deafness as we grow old, and perhaps we need some accommodation. And those who are handicapped early in life and therefore do not participate in life as we do should be assisted.
That is why most of the churches have started using line array where they put the speakers way up there so that the impact on people's ears are not. And that's because for many charismatic churches, too, when the sound is not strong, we feel the Holy Spirit is not moving. That is joking about a serious issue.
Hallelujah! God's purpose must be fulfilled.
Coincidentally, Reverend Istudanaba's elder sister is a sign language interpreter, yet he confesses it has escaped him to utilize her service.
And what you are sharing is innovative. And that's because even for me, it has an impact on me. My big sister actually is a specialist in dealing with individuals with hearing disability. Yeah, she attended the School of the Deaf in Mampong. So maybe taking care of that challenge is in my family blood. Maybe I can ride on my sister's back.
Similarly, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, His Lordship Gabriel Charles Palmer-Bakel, has a nephew who is deaf, yet he also admits using sign interpreter in his parish has not crossed his mind.
He goes to school in Cape Coast, the School of the Deaf. I've been there to visit him. I've been there to visit the school already once, and so one would say that I have the problem within my own family, and that should maybe make it more urgent for me to see how to solve that.
It is also worth noting that it is not just the religious bodies that have neglected the deaf in the Ghanaian society. The entire country has violated Article 17 of the 1992 Constitution on non-discrimination, as several places and assemblies, even important national gatherings such as Independence Anniversary, presidential swearing-in ceremonies, and even presidential addresses, sign languages have been absent, leaving the deaf in a wonderland.
I think Parliament should have been the first institution to encourage this, because we passed a law on disability and this or social exclusion. And I think this should have been the first step, at least, for inclusive policy on a section of the disabled, like the deaf in particular.
Frankly, I've not seriously thought about. We should have sign languages at national parties, even the castle.
Public events, because public events are for many.